Shit, I'm ready to rock. I'll get a notification that'll say you live. I'm subscribed to you.
Yo, we need to stay in rock, man. Let this room fill up.
So, man, I mean, you've been doing this for a minute. I mean, what's your backstory? If you don't mind, we got a couple 3 seconds.
All right, yeah. Let me. I got my volume so high on this end. Let me turn myself down just a little bit. Yo, we gonna start this thing one way or another when the room fill up. But what you asked me again, fam?
I was just saying, like, what's like kind of your backstory, man? Because I'm gonna tell you, I don't know if you thought about this, bro, but your production is so well, bro, that you could literally have another channel where you just teach people how to do what you're doing, and I would be a subscriber.
Oh 100. Wow, that's what I'm talking 100. About, man. I appreciate it, man.
You know what I'm saying? And that's something totally outside of football. You know what I'm saying? Like, ain't got nothing to do with Dallas Cowboy. You could literally have a channel where you're teaching people from the basics how to grow. Because, bro, this is going to be the new, you know what I'm saying? And guys like yourself, I mean, because that's what I do. Like, you know what I'm saying? I try to figure out like little tidbits. You know what I'm saying? If you guys are doing it, then I know I should be already trying to figure it out. You know what I'm saying?
Yes, indeed, man. Well, look. I'm an 80s baby, man, so I'm a Cowboys die-hard fan. I cry when we lose. I'm one of those guys that punch plenty of holes in the wall. So I'm furious, man. So neither here nor there. We got the full room, got a lot of people, man. Let's just jump to the cut, man. Let them know where you from, man, and let them know how they can find you and what your name is and all this good stuff, fam.
What's up with you guys? It's your boy Tyson, the West Coast Cowboy, and I'm coming straight out live from all the way out here from California, where the palm trees are always blowing and never say it rains, but we always have pretty decent weather. And one thing I will tell you guys, the disclaimer that people always assume is that in California that you got to be a Rams, a Charger, and all this other fan. I'm gonna tell you right now, in this state, we got a star all over it. You know what I'm saying? This is probably the biggest collection of Dallas Cowboy fans outside of Texas, right here in the West Coast, right here in Southern California. So we rep them boys really, really hard. So you ever looking for me or some?
What's up, man? I think I lost you just that quick, man.
Man, this is a great opportunity for my page, and I just appreciate you guys for the opportunity, man. And shoot, man, let's try to jump into this, man. Let's get it popping.
Man, show them that hat before we start, man. That's a fresh hat, man.
Oh yeah, man. California Cowboys. Hey, shout out to them. Shout out to the Barachos. Shout out to DC. Shout out to all the clubs who sponsor and really show West Coast love. Oh, shout out to AFDC. My bad. I told them I'd wear the shirt today. Shout out to the 5 major clubs out here in Cali that show West Coast so much love. I appreciate y'all. And shout out to Jerry Jones for always coming back for training camp.
West Side.
Without you, we would be no us, Jerry.
We got Victor, man. He's from Brazil. Cowboys Nation out of Brazil. How about that, man?
I tip my hat to you, brother. I tip my hat to you.
Man, that's hot. Look, man, what's your thoughts right quick on this Allen Hurns, man?
That's actually a really good question. First off, I want to kill the disclaimer. We're already past is this a Dez Bryant guy? Like, Allen Hurns is the type of guy where Dez Bryant's name shouldn't even come up. Like, we are racing in a NASCAR. Yes, we're in a NASCAR, but guess what? Dez Bryant is in the big NASCAR championship. Allen Hurns is more in the buggy system, in the buggy service. Like, yeah, they run the same race, but they 2 different cars. So let's just right off the muscle disclaim any thoughts. Hurns, if he is signed, if any wide receiver is signed right now, they are being brought in to help Dez Bryant, either that be move the safety or help Dak Prescott. Right now, I do not feel that there's any wide receiver. I mean, you got to think of it like right now, not even money-wise. If you look at what Sammy Watkins got, if you look at what Robinson got, Dez Bryant is lightweight, kind of, I ain't gonna say cheap, because Dez is nowhere cheap, anywhere making $12 million. But when you got a guy making $16 million and he has half of Dez's stat, the word cheap has to come up. So I think right now, with all these receivers and what they've gotten over this year, I think the Cowboys are actually in a better position, because, man, if we would have went out there, we would have paid someone $16 to $17 million a year because that's what it would have taken. Now think of this. We would have paid them on the assumption of what we think they can do. Dez Bryant, we already kind of know what he's going to do. You know what I'm saying? And to be honest with you, with a team that runs the ball, Ezekiel Elliott is the focal point of our offense. I'm surprised Dez Bryant's able to get 800 yards. You know what I'm saying? If you look at Michael Irvin's, his career, he never led the league he never led the leagues in yards. That was never his forte. Why? Because he always had another guy named Emmitt Smith who took control of the game. You got to remember also, when you're up and you're winning, it's like Golden State. When you're up and you're winning, you don't really have to shoot threes unless you're just trying to kill the team. So with that saying, when you're up running the ball, you don't have to throw the ball. Allen Hurns, if he comes in tomorrow, and I like to see him come in tomorrow. If he comes in tomorrow, I think it is a direct push. I think a guy like Cole Beasley kind of wakes up with a weird taste in his mouth, or maybe Terrence Williams, but I don't think the Cowboys are that cutthroat to, kind of do a guy like, he took a really, really super duper, ridiculously friendly deal. And I think from what the Cowboys are getting, if Terrence Williams can get back to where he's supposed to be, up to like 800 yards, you are absolutely winning on his contract. So I think honestly, the only way he comes in, I think it's a push on Cole Beasley. I think they're going to try to bring him in and try to do what they thought, Bryce Butler was supposed to do. I'm a conspiracy theorist. Anybody that watches Dallas Cowboys scouting knows that. I don't know. I think LeBron James fakes the injury once or twice a game so he can rest. If LeBron James would do it, why wouldn't someone making less money that putting more strain on their body do it? That's all I'm saying. You know what I'm saying? If it adds it up, it adds it up. But that's just my conspiracy around Bryce Butler. I just think if he does come in, this is a guy that, they want Dez to groom someone. One thing about Dez Bryant is Dez Bryant has something that Sammy Watkins does not have right now in his career, and that is called experience. And you don't want to have an inexperienced quarterback because, Dak Prescott, if you don't say his name and you just say who he is, a second year quarterback who was drafted in the 4th round, if you just say that about Dak Prescott, you're going to say he's inexperienced. So you're not going to take an inexperienced quarterback and then put him with a new wide receiver. That's just way too many moving. And so I just think if he does come in, and I would like to see him come in because I like what he's able to do on the inside. I love the way he's like one thing that you're gonna, if you Google this right now about Hurns, if you Google this right now, and you ask, it says, what are his strengths? One of his strengths is catching irregular passes. Now, Law Nation, I'm not going to throw my quarterback under the bus because I'm not going to do that. But I will say this. Does that you kind of see how that kind of mends you kind of a little bit? Well, and that was one of his strengths coming out of college, that he's very good at catching unadjustable balls. Now you think about a guy named you think about a guy, Dak Prescott. Last year, he threw 117 he had 117 targets to Dez Bryant. Out of those 117, 40 of those passes were uncatchable. That means those were passes that the statistics thought they were not catchable for the receiver. That's 40. You take that divided by 16, that is 3.5 uncatchable balls a game that he was throwing to Dez Bryant. And you get a guy who's pretty darn good at catching passes that aren't the most spirally, I think it matches up good.
Oh, wow. So, hey, man, he laid the thunder down for that. Hey, I kind of like that philosophy, man. But if you look at this right here, we are a run-first oriented football. Break down what you think that Jason Garrett is trying to do with his team. Is it a Niners philosophy? Break that down. Bring me your conspiracy theory on that.
As far as the run game, the Cowboys, you know what, Law? It would be easy. The Cowboys are one of the hardest teams to break down. You want to know why?
Why is that?
And I know a man of your intelligence is going to understand this. You want to know why? Because we're the most inconsistent team in the NFL. That's why. It's
consistent on being inconsistent, right?
Yes. Like, I wish I could dap you through the phone. Like, I know you get what I'm saying right now. Like, we're the most consistent team. Think of this in the Atlanta game, a game where you think, oh my God, we just got absolutely killed. I was there on the 50-yard line. We came out the game running the ball. Alfred Morris was punching these dudes in the face. What happens the second quarter? No running the ball. What happens the third quarter? No running the ball. What happens the fourth quarter? Oh, you're down 14 points. You can't run the ball.
Hey, so, I mean, I'll raise you. Look at this Green Bay game in the playoff when we played them. How many yards was Zeke the Freak was averaging? We tried to get cute and pass the ball, but when we had clearly the ability to run the ball with Ezekiel Elliott, they was averaging what, 5 to 6 yards a carry. If I'm wrong, am I wrong?
Around that. But hey, can I let in another theory? Can I let in another theory? Because this may have to do with the Romo effect. You know what I'm saying? Because you got to see it like this. You know, Jason Garrett was very adamant that this switch from Dak Prescott to Tony Romo, he had his hands in that. You know, that's why they were saying, you know, if you notice this, right, you know, Jason Garrett is, I'm not saying Jason Garrett is not on the outs, because I definitely believe is a good kid and a good guy. But, you know, I see Tony Romo at the vacation, you know, sitting over to the right-hand side with the big Gumbiest smile I've ever seen in my life. You know, Tony Romo is grooming Jerry Jones's grandson. That's what nobody knows. Tony Romo's grooming that young man. Now, just to segue all that, to put all this in perspective, right? That playoff game, right? Jason Garrett, I think, had the hardest decision that he ever had to make in his entire life, and that is you have a struggling quarterback in his rookie year getting beat by a Hall of Famer, and nothing is happening. But you have Tony Romo standing right behind him. And you know what decision he made? We stuck with Dak. Now, I think this. You know, I think Jason Garrett has kind of like put himself in a wall where it's like he is going to be weighed so much on Dak's production and what he can do going forward that I think it's just like, I think that kind of helps him in his decision making. And I think it also helps him in his non-decision making, because it's kind of like Seattle, right? Seattle in that Super Bowl, when they threw the ball on the 1 yard line, everybody in their minds knew Pete Carroll wants Russell Wilson to win this game. He wants him to be the focal point in this game. Why? Because Marshawn Lynch had made the Super Bowl all about him. I'm not saying it's selfishly or not, but I know as a coach, you're thinking, bro, you are not going to make this entire Super Bowl about you. And then the final deciding winning moment of the Super Bowl, you're going to win it for us. No, I'm going to put it in the hands of this kid that's been doing it the way he's supposed to be doing it. And I'm going to let him win it. That's what I think his mindset was. Now, you tie that, I say the Tony Romo effect. I think Jason Garrett sees it like this. I know Ezekiel Elliott is a clear-cut MVP guy, but you know what? There needs to be some games where it is very obvious that Dak Prescott is winning us some games. Because if Dak Prescott is not winning us games, what was the advantage from going from Dak to Tony Romo other than the money?
I think that, and I follow you a lot on this, but I really think that Scott Linehan and Jason Garrett were fed up with Tony Romo changing the plays while they was at the line. And the one thing that they was lamenting the whole throughout the season was Dak runs to play whatever the coaches called them to say, you know. So what about your thought on that?
Well, I mean, it's kind of crazy because I think Tony Romo was in a weird position anyway, because Bryce Butler let us in a secret when he said that Tony Romo was the coach. So it's like, you know, that wasn't by accident. Like, you're not letting someone coach your team in the offseason, and then you go into the regular season and then you're going to have the offensive coordinator calling plays. Like, that doesn't mesh. You're pretty much going by what you practice is what you're going to make perfection. And I think, you know, the Cowboys, I just don't. I mean, if anything, Tony Romo handicapped the heck out of Jason Garrett, because Jason Garrett didn't have to coach. I mean, you got to think like this. 4 years ago, they announced, the first time you've ever heard in history, Jerry Jones allowed it to leak that Jason Garrett was no longer going to be calling plays. Like, that is something, like, a lot of people don't think of the importance behind that, but I know you're a football guy. Like, when you look at a head coach, if your head coach was told right now of your football team that he's no longer calling plays, what is your head coach going to probably do? Mine's probably going to, thank you. That face right there. That face right there told me that you had a real coach. Your coach is out.
He's out.
I'm done.
So we pick up this kid, Jamirez. I think that's how you say his name. What are your thoughts on that?
On J.O., I think Mark Holmes called him J.O. I think we're going to stick with that because I'm going to butcher the heck out of his name. I think it's very, very weird. Anybody that's been on Dallas Cowboys scouting, you guys know Keith Smith, he's a friend of the page. So I have a lot of love for him. But at the same time, I just think it's weird, Law, that Jason Garrett, time after time, this is the inconsistency I was talking about. He talks about the cowboy type of way. Cowboy type of way. You think that's the guy that comes to work, doesn't get in trouble. Whatever you ask him to do, he does it. And not only does it, because a lot of people do what you tell them to do, but how many people do what you tell them to do very well, or try to exceed in it? Because most people just try to do the basics, right? Right. Here you go, Keith Smith, right? This is a guy who came in as a linebacker, a lot of people don't know this. Keith Smith was the number one tackling linebacker in college his senior year. Well, guess what? The Cowboys brought him in as a linebacker. Within 2 years, they're switching him last year to fullback position, right? Mm-hmm. He excels. He beats out Rod Smith, in my opinion, who does not want to be a fullback at all. You know what I'm saying? So I'm actually happy that they brought in one, because Rod Smith does not want to be a fullback. Now, you have this guy consistently excel in what he is doing. I think there's times as a franchise, and just like as a parent, you may not have the money, but if you told your child that if they met these goals and these aspirations, you were going to take care of them, I think as the parent, as the organization, it's your job to take care of them. Because if you don't, how are you then feeding the Cowboy good guy? And think of this. Just think of this, Law. Look how people like Kayvon Frazier, people like Dez, people like even Ezekiel Elliott, look how they've responded to Keith Smith. Kayvon Frazier put a post like he was he was utterly shocked. But I mean, just to kind of but with all that said, J.O. is on our team. So what I think he brings to the Dallas Cowboys, one, he's in a system where they catch the ball a lot over there. A lot of things that they don't know about J.O. is he was a former wide receiver. So coming into our system, one thing that people didn't like about Alfred Morris is they said, how's he going to be well if he can't catch the ball? Well, guess what? Two things J.O. does very well is he catches the ball. And then something else that they may not put out there is PFF, that is the Professional Football Focus. They ranked him. I didn't even know they ranked him. You know what I'm saying? But they ranked these guys they ranked him as the number 2 pass protection fullback in the NFL. I'm going to be honest with you. If you're telling me that you're going to put somebody on the field that's going to be an extra lineman when we already have a pretty good lineman, I'm pretty okay with that. I hated that it had to be my boy 41, but like a bunch of other Cowboy players who the Cowboys have invested money, because you got to think like this. J.O., he's a guy that we snatched up off a practice squad, and we didn't utilize him. Oakland Raiders saw him, kept him in their program for 6 years, and then guess what? He swung right back through. So, there's always, we're not that far from luck of the Irish, so it's always good to hope.
Well, my thing is you only have 11 people out there on the field, right? Yep. And then with the Cowboys' philosophy, they so stuck in their ways. Remember, we had Cole Beasley and Ryan Switz, and everybody saying, okay, when is Ryan Switz going to get out there on the field? But guess what? We got old, reliable number 82. He's not moving. So even with the philosophy of getting J.O. on the team, when will he have time to play? That's my only reservation. When are they going to put him out there beyond the goal line situation? Because I don't really see them utilizing him properly.
Well, what I would like to see the Cowboys do, honestly, is you want to sting. Like Ezekiel Elliott is a stinger. If you're thinking, just think about it.
Hold on before you go there. They better not take Ezekiel Elliott off that field. They better not take him off that field.
They're not. Right. I don't want them to take him off the field also, but this is what I would say. You get Ezekiel Elliott going. When Ezekiel Elliott, you think right now he's averaging between the last 2 years, between right at about his rookie year, 6.3. But now between the 2 years, I think he's like at 5.3 yards a carry. So that is big playability. So you imagine this, the Cowboys, you get the big run from Ezekiel Elliott, 26 yards, right? 27 yards, because he gets you at least one of those a game. Why is it? Because he's constantly meticulously beating on these defense. So when he gets that big run, you bring Zeke out, let him get a break, then you bring in this heavy back. Because the nice thing about this, you got to think like this. After you've already given up a 15, 20-yard play, the worst thing you want to do is then go back out there and tackle. But what I think the Cowboys have been doing is after these big runs from Zeke, a lot of times what you do is you see the Cowboys passing the ball. Like you see them trying to take advantages or trying to move the ball by Dak. But my thing is this: if it's okay if Dak only throws the ball 12 times a game. Like I know we had a problem that his rookie year, but Cowboy Nation, we need to be okay with that. Like we need to be okay with that. Yeah, is it gonna suck to know that? Go.
No, I'm just saying that's just not cute. Cowboys love to throw the ball in the air, but the thing is too as well. Don't sleep on Rod Smith. I wanted to see the combination of Ezekiel Elliott and Rod Smith. So are you going to say that you're going to sprinkle in the fullback? Is pretty much Rod Smith is a poor man? Is J.O. better than Rod Smith in running the ball out of the backfield, catching the ball out of the backfield, etc.? Because I seen Rod Smith take the top off the defense when he was running the ball, and I seen him. He's a finesse big guy. It's kind of weird by him being finesse, but he do have power and strength. And that's what I like. And Rod Smith do finish the plays too as well. He will lay that.
He does.
So what are your thoughts on Rod?
The cool thing about it is with Ezekiel Elliott, for Ezekiel Elliott to be known as the best running back in the NFL, he doesn't have to have 18 touchdowns. Like Ezekiel Elliott can have his 1,500 yards and have 10, 12 touchdowns and still be considered the best running back in the NFL. Because you don't, and you got to also think about this. If we want Ezekiel, because we got something on our side that no other team has when it comes to a running back, and that is youth. We got Ezekiel Elliott. That's why it made so much sense to draft Zeke when we did, because the boy, he's a baby. Like he's a baby. Like if you think about it theoretically, the Cowboys, if you do them on some 4-year contracts, we may be able to sign this guy 3 times. Now, I'm not saying he may not be worth it toward the end. I'm not saying that, Adrian Peterson, you know what I'm saying? But I'm just saying the chances of it is there. So I think if you want Ezekiel Elliott to preserve him and you want him to be this effective back, because we saw what happened when Ezekiel Elliott was not in the game. One thing we cannot afford is Ezekiel Elliott to be toting the ball 300, 400 times, a season over consistently. We saw what happened with DeMarco Murray. I don't care what happens. If you can be the best running back in the world, but if you're carrying the ball that amount of times, everything goes up. Your opportunity to cause fumbles goes up. I think part of the reason why DeMarco Murray fumbled the ball so much is because the dude was carrying the ball 70 times a game. You know what I'm saying? You can think about this. When DeMarco Murray left the Dallas Cowboys, he all of a sudden didn't have a fumble problem.
Yeah, true that. Let me ask you this, though. I see 2 glaring holes on his offensive line, and it's going to be the second one that I don't mention is going to be like least suspecting. I see a left guard glaring hole. I see a left tackle glaring hole that's on this offensive line. We got to figure out something. Don't listen to the hype, guys. I like La'el Collins at right tackle. But my thing is, what we going to do to patch up maybe an understudy for big number 77, and maybe we got to find somebody that can plug that left guard if we want to stick true to what we trying to do with this Cowboys offense.
I mean, you know what, Law? I mean, that's a phenomenal point. I mean, if the Cowboys really wanted to feel like, like they say, they got me feeling like 2016 again. I mean, I know, don't blow up my inbox, but if you really wanted to feel like 2016, you got to put Collins back on the other side. Like you gotta go back to what was familiar.
Oh man, no. Go talk to me.
If you think about Darren McFadden's best play as a Cowboy, it was the big run that he had against Green Bay. Who's the lead blocker? La'el Collins.
Yeah.
Running down the side. Exact same thing. Now, the biggest effect I honestly think that kind of messed our off. Not saying our offensive line was messed up, but what kind of depreciated our offensive line was Ronald Leary. I was watching one of your shows earlier today, man. You were spot on. I think that was probably the Cowboys' greatest miss of probably the last maybe 5 years. Not even talking about someone as far as just ability or just talent. I'm just talking about how much you need me. It's like this, Law. What do you need more? Do you need $1 billion? You're gonna be like, yeah, I need $1 billion. But hey, Law, do you need $1 billion when you drown and you have no air, or do you need air?
No.
You need air, right?
I need air.
You know what I mean? You need air, right? So I think the Cowboys went with the money, and we didn't need the money. We needed the air. because the air that Leary gave us on that side, man, like he was that dog nasty. And you got to think that left side, man, I'm going to be honest with you. I think DeMarcus Lawrence, if DeMarcus Lawrence really wants to get paid, take your narrow tail over there to that left side and go play with them big boys play. Go play with them boys making $26 million a year. Go play against them boys making 19, 21, $22 million a year. You want to be looked at as an elite defensive end, as a wrecker, man, go get on that other side. Because that's where them real dogs play. Because you got to think, that's where that blind side is. I don't give a dang how good that quarterback is. If he can't stand up right, it don't matter who it is.
Shout out to the chat box too as well. They saying exactly. Shout out to Blake. Shout out to Ricky Molan too as well, Melina. So everybody in the chat box pretty much agreeing with you. So we brought in a guy. I don't know if we brought her in. I haven't been really in depth into the news because I've been at work. But what about this Clemens guy? I think that's his name, or Flemings. What's his name? You know it?
Flemings.
What about him?
Flemings. One thing I like about Flemings, and this is something I've been preaching. I'm Dallas Cowboys scouting, so unfortunately I can't really scout the Patriots unless I'm playing them in the Super Bowl. But I like a guy who's been protecting a guy who's been in the Super Bowl. Like I mean, you can't you mean there ain't nothing I can say negative about that. Like he kept a guy upright, and then I also like something as we were talking about earlier, man. The Cowboys are finally getting some experience. Think of this, Law Nation. This is a funny stat. We should put this on a t-shirt. You know who has the most playoff experience right now? I don't even want to say this because I know there's an Eagle fan in there somewhere that's going to write this down and use this against us. But you know who has the most playoff experience in the Dallas Cowboy organization right now?
Jason Garrett.
See, that's why I'm at. See, hey, if you're listening to y'all right now, y'all need to know right now. Same lines. I was going to say Jason Garrett, Jerry Jones. Neither one of them are on the field. Neither one of them are on the field.
I was right, huh?
You were right.
Look at that.
Right. You were absolutely right. You were absolutely right. Like, we have no experience on the field. None.
Damn, boy, you be having these mental things going, man. You got a brother thinking.
I mean, though, so it's like you insert some experience. You insert someone that tells Dak, "Yo, Dak, hey, bruh, guess what? I was once in the Super Bowl and we was down. Let me tell you about this story about this time these birds had us down 24 points in the Super Bowl. Hey, Dak, I think we're going to be all right. Why? Because you're not as good as Tom Brady. I'm going to be honest with you, you're not. But see that boy over there, number 21? He's better than anybody I've ever played against. I think in 2018, just to sum up all my issues and anything, when you draft someone at number 4, you're drafting him to be the eraser. You're drafting Ezekiel Elliott to be, no offense, but Jesus Christos. Like that's who you're drafting. That's who you're drafting Ezekiel Elliott to be. I think 2018, we finally get to find out. The league finally gets to see why we drafted this kid at 4. Why the Dallas Cowboys did not take a cornerback who is going to probably be the best cornerback in the NFL. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. Why we did not take a cornerback, why we chose to go with this kid. Now think of this. One of these kids is budding. You know what I'm saying? Both of these guys on the field are budding, but one just seems like they're going a little bit more further. Why? Ramsey, because he's staying out of trouble, staying out of his other stuff. Cowboys, hey, we are the organization. If any organization is built to deal with troublemakers, it is Jerry Jones. So unfortunately, I'm not tripping on Zeke. I'm not tripping on him. You know what I'm saying? I'm not tripping. I think it would be harder to tell a 22-year-old grown man to act 30 than it would to tell a 30-year-old man to act 22. Like, Zeke is not he's younger than both of us. So, yes, I mean, to sum it up, 2018 needs to be about the Dallas Cowboys playing to their strengths. And our strengths is Ezekiel Elliott. Honestly, keep it real. Nobody cares how many yards Dez Bryant has when you're winning games. Like, at the end of the day, nobody cares. Like, nobody cares. And that's just factual. That's just factual.
It is.
Because nobody was complaining about Dez's yards last year. Now think of this. If you replace Dez with a Sammy Watkins or all these other guys, you're replacing him with guys who've only had 1,000-year season. So it's like that doesn't even add up. Sammy Watkins hasn't even had over 100, the amount of targets that Dez Bryant has had. So that's just like, that's just putting way too much on a new player. And then now you need Dak Prescott to be something that he isn't, because now you need Dak Prescott to step up. Hey man, when it's all said and done, I know the only person on this gonna believe me is my brother Law Nation when I really say this. And honestly, is the only thing the Cowboys really need is for the 2018 season to start. That's it.
Man, I can't wait for this season to start, man.
Like that's all I think the expectation and everything that's happening. People just forget to realize that we still won. Hey, Law, am I wrong for being okay for feeling okay for winning 9 games last year? Like, people do not understand how hard that is in the NFL, considering everything that we went through. Yo, right. Think of this. My last point, Law. Think of this. Floyd Mayweather, right? You want to know why McGregor, that fight that he just had with Floyd Mayweather, why nobody really counts that as a loss in McGregor? Want to know why? Because McGregor was fighting in a ring. Like, he's not a boxer. So you kind of gave him that credit. Now think of this. Mm-hmm. Why don't we give Dez that same credit when we say, well, his quarterback changed in the last 2 years. He had 4 different quarterbacks. Not only that, he had 2 different injuries. And then the other things that have plagued Dez. And the thing I love about Dez Bryant is, even with saying that, he's still the last 2 years 100 yards away from 1,000 yards.
That is good numbers there. But people just
I know I'm a Dez Bryant enthusiast.
Yeah. 16 million is hard to bite down on or chew up or what have you. But neither here nor there. With the 19th pick, the Dallas Cowboys select who you got.
It's kind of hard for me to say person right now, but position group, and I mean, it all depends on what the Cowboys do tomorrow, because it kind of looks like the Cowboys are trying to make it so that they don't have to pick anybody in specifically, because I want to kill a rumor. There was a rumor going around that the Dallas Cowboys have been hosting Will Hernandez, and that they've been all over town taking pictures and all this other stuff. That looks absolutely great. But I'm going to tell you guys a secret, because West Coast, I went to digging, because I'm thinking that sounds illegal as heck for a team to be doing all this fishy stuff. And Jerry Jones is not dumb. There is not a such thing. Like my boy Solar says, there's not a such thing as a dumb billionaire. So I got to digging. And you know what I actually found out? That Will Hernandez and 2 of those offensive linemen have the same agent.
Oh, see, brother, man.
So you see how they're perpetrating that as, oh, he's out here with the Dallas Cowboys and he's taking these pictures. And I know a guy like you had to be thinking, like, how is he able to do that and not get in trouble? Like, didn't Dez get in trouble for that when he came in the league with Deion Sanders? Like, I thought they couldn't do that.
Right.
Like, didn't Dez get in trouble for that? They can't do that. So it's not that they're Jerry Jones is just kind of living off the success. But I think the Cowboys, if we were able to get a wide receiver in here between the draft and now, and we do sign Fleming, because I hope we sign Fleming. I actually hope we sign Fleming more than we sign the wide receiver, because I think Fleming will help Dak Prescott in that huddle and in situational, because he's been with a Tom Brady. So I hope we get Fleming. If we get Fleming, I think there's still a chance that we can get a Will Hernandez, because I don't think Fleming is going to be a guy that we're trying to be a starter going through the future. The Cowboys love signing bridge players, meaning like 1 or 2 year guys. So I think they still could do it. But I think right now, if we don't make any moves, the only thing that I've heard that has not come to Dallas Cowboys is linebacker. Like, we just lost a linebacker for $9 million, and the only thing that we have not come is a linebacker. So if you're asking me from deduction, what do I think the Cowboys are going to pick? I think they're going to pick a linebacker, because that's the only thing that we're not bringing in. Like, we haven't brought one in free agency. Navarro Bowman, I would love to bring it back to Penn State, but they didn't bring him in the first time, and I just think if you really want, people say, oh, you can overpay for Hitchens, but they gave him a lot of money. But I just think that if you think about it, Law, like we lost Hitchens, and we're just all going to pretend like who is going to take his place? Like who?
You're right. You are 1,000% right, man.
So it's like if and Jerry likes to put a bunch of crap out there, you know what I'm saying? Like, just like I think it was Jerry who orchestrated this. Oh, I think Dez Bryant needs to take more money. I think that was the Cowboys who put that out there because they wanted him to take less money. They wanted to keep him, but they wanted him to take less money, But at the end, to stay on your point, if you're just looking at from everything that the Cowboys haven't touched on, we've saturated wide receiver, we've saturated offensive line. Hitchens goes for $9 million and we do nothing. So I think it's kind of one of those, don't let your left hand know what your right hand's doing. I think the Cowboys were able to go on vacation because they know what they're going to do in the draft. I think they're going to go linebacker hunting. I think right now, if you think of all the games that we lost last year, if you had to say it was one person outside of Ezekiel Elliott that we could have had on the field that we could have won a game, I think it's Sean Lee. Because I think if we have Sean Lee, I don't think freaking the Chargers game. I know he does. I know Keenan Allen doesn't ruin my Thanksgiving and make me kick everybody out of my house. So forgive me for that. I got to learn how to handle that stuff better. But my Thanksgiving was ruined because of the Chargers. And I think that, I also, you got to remember that Atlanta game, he started that game and didn't finish. You know what I'm saying? So it's like, I think those are some games that I just think if we have Sean Lee, regardless of who, because you got to think like this, Alfred Morris was moving the ball in that game. We were running the ball fairly well. You know what I'm saying? We just, like we said at the beginning of the show, the Cowboys are just good old Mr. Inconsistent. We just decided we don't want to do that no more and just stopped. The Cowboys are never, have you thought about this, Law? The Cowboys, we have never been in a position where we cannot run the ball. We can't run the ball because we choose not to run the ball. Period.
I'm telling you right now, the best defense ever against the Cowboys running back is the offensive coordinator.
Oh my God! Put that on a shirt.
Yeah.
Put that on a shirt.
It should be a shirt that say the only person that can stop Zeke is Scott Linehan.
For real. And think of this, right? When Zeke was in college, he had the same exact type of moment with Urban Meyer. And Zeke had to let them boys know, like, yo, we not undefeated no more because I only got 7 carries. Wow. And everybody got mad at Zeke for coming out at him. And guess what? The next week, they fed that boy the ball. So I think Zeke will let Dak Prescott be the leader of this team because he is the quarterback. But I'm going to be honest with you, the best thing for this team to do is for Zeke to pick up, I was about to go in, but for Zeke to step up and say, I am the leader of this team.
Man, this is information overload, but I didn't know that you can get so in depth with this. I thought we were going to look. I hit you up. I thought we were going to do like a little quick 15-minute talk. We're going to talk about the Cowboys, but see, we don't like the Cowboys at all. We love them. So we sitting here. I don't even know how long we've been talking, man. We got over 200 people in the room.
Keep it real, man.
37 minutes.
I've always thought about what I watch this show, man. I always tell myself what I'm gonna talk about if I ever get on here, man. So I got a check mark in my head where I'm just checking off all my little stuff, man, because it's just a pleasure to be here. I know you guys have one of the most educated about your audiences. Your audience is educated, like they understand because of your videos that you put out there. You're educating your audience, so we're able to have like these real conversations. You know what I'm saying? So I love that. And if you guys want more of that, make sure you guys check out Dallas Cowboy Scouting on Facebook. Shoot, man, we're all over the place, man. But man, I just think that the Dallas Cowboys, if Jerry Jones is on vacation, I think we all may just need to just take a little and just kind of think about this. If Zeke plays all 16 games last year, we were a playoff team. So now you're mad at your team for going to the playoffs back to back. I understand what ifs and fifths, we'd all be drunk, but guess what? You guys will what if Dez Bryant sucks? Why is that, Law? Why will people, when they what if you, they only what if the bad stuff? They never what if the good stuff, though.
Man, hey, we've been on a slide for over 20 years, and it didn't help that the Eagles won a Super Bowl. So I really think that we've been spoiled too now. We've been spoiled as a nation, So the thing is now, and then on top of that too as well, this is the first time we really in a long time had back-to-back winning seasons. Although we didn't go to the playoff, this is the first time in a long time that the Cowboys had a back-to-back winning season, to be honest.
And I'm not trying to disrespect anybody, but I'm gonna be honest with you. What I have noticed is you can typically judge someone's like their like the people who are just really, really nervous right now, you can almost judge how long someone's been a Cowboy fan by how nervous they are right now. Because a guy like you, Law, who's been through some 8-8s and some freaking just bad football seasons, you're looking like this is not the worst thing that's ever happened to the Dallas Cowboys. Like, we had a guy named Quincy Carter who threw more interceptions and touchdowns, put us in the playoffs, and we fired him. We didn't release him. We fired him.
Fired.
And who did we bring in? Hutchinson.
We had some baseball players right there.
We had some baseball players. He played for the Yankees, though. That was the only thing we were holding our hats on. He played for the Yankees, though. Don't nobody worry. He going to be okay. He played for the Yankees.
And then we went and scooped up a Ryan Leaf of all people.
Oh my God.
People fail to realize that, man. But
like
it's just one of them things.
You were so dead on with the spoiled. Like, you were so dead on.
Yeah, but I'm greedy. We better win. I'm greedy. I've been saying we were going to win the Super Bowl ever since 1996, 95. I've been saying that every year. I say, Mama, we're going to win the Super Bowl this year. I've been wrong ever since. So, but we're going to win the Super Bowl. I'm a diehard fan.
I think that Jerry Jones, man, he just got into the innovation business and he just forgot to. It's like on my cell phone, man. I got this beautiful Note 8. Everything works good. But guess what? The voice text works like freaking a Note 2. I say, hey, and it say, bay, bay, bay. I'm like, y'all can upgrade everything, but you won't upgrade this simple feature on my phone. And it's the same thing with Jerry Jones. Like, Jerry Jones, I think sometimes just has his mind and soul. Everything has to be revolutionized. And then he just tries to, like a rich person does. They cut corners. Like, they're rich because they cut corners. They find somebody who's able to do it twice as fast for twice as cheap. And that's how they make twice the much of the revenue. Well, Jerry Jones tries to take that into the people product business. And what he realizes is, a car will just sit there and not do anything unless you get in the car and run it. Then its transmission will blow. A people person business, man, people getting older every day.
They do.
So, the Dallas Cowboys, and just to light you guys in a secret, if you look at Dez Bryant's contract, one thing Jerry Jones knew for sure, and that's no matter how good Dez Bryant is, they always knew Dez Bryant was going to get old, man. They always knew that. Like, they always knew that. So with knowing that, the Cowboys always allowed themselves to have an early out. I think that early out is somewhere next year, but right now, I just don't think financially it makes any sense to release Dez, because you'll have some money, but I mean, you got a whole lot of money. It's like my pop say, I'm gonna give you $1 million at your funeral. Salute, brother. I'm gonna give you that money at your funeral. You know what I'm saying? It ain't gonna do nothing for you, because I'm gonna ask you guys right now. Hey, Law, what happened to all those people that wanted to save all that money from Tony Romo? What we spend that money on?
I have a whole theory on that, but look.
Hey. Did you get what I mean, though?
Yeah, I get exactly what you mean on that. Exactly.
Like, what did we spend that money on?
Yeah.
Like, it got us 9-7.
9-7.
Like,
yeah. But neither here nor there. That's pretty much all we have today, man. But let me ask you this. Tell the people that's in the chat box, man, where they can find you at.
Shoot, man, you can find me every single day at Dallas Cowboy Scouting on Facebook. If you're ever on, I'm also on there on Instagram and Twitter. People are really encouraging me as far as getting on YouTube and stuff like that. But my page, honestly, I like Facebook, the platform, because it keeps me really engaged with the fans, the clubs. And I mean, in our page, that's where we're really short toward, is just really highlighting those people, who really push the Cowboys, the players and the clubs, kind of bridging them both. But I love the fact that you have, avenues like Law Nation where you can come here, and my boy Akuye, who, put out some great film. They put out some great work, and you can always go to those guys and get that. I call it that beautiful beam footage, because at the end of the day, man, that's definitely where you want to be at.
Yes,
but if you're on Facebook, Dallas Cowboy Scouting, I'm the dude talking, driving, but I promise you it's legal where I stay.
Yes, indeed, man. That's some good stuff, man. And on Akuye, we did invite him out to the show today, but he had some things that he was busy on. So hopefully the next time we do something like this live in the flesh, we can get him on and we can talk some more football. We can talk a little Dez Bryant. We can talk a little off the season, off the field stuff, and on the field stuff, what we need to do in order to win and things of that nature. And
can I ask you a quick question?
Go ahead, talk to me.
Mm-hmm. Can I ask you a quick question? Do you have an issue right now if you have to choose between one of the two, Terrence Williams or Cole Beasley, going forward, just as far as making a move? Because the Cowboys are pretty set in stone, I think, of what they want to do with Dez Bryant. I think they already know what they're going to do with Dez Bryant. I think it's up in air what they're going to do with Terrence Williams or Cole Beasley. What do you think that? I mean, if it was just on your choice, who would you keep and who would you allow to find their services somewhere else?
Oh man, we got Ryan Switz, man. I really want to see Ryan Switz. Sweet feet, man. I don't know, man. It's just one of those things where the ball bouncing off his body. He's not showing that he's progressing out there as a wide receiver. But one thing I can say last year, if I go back and look at the Kansas City game, that gave me a sprinkle of hope. I couldn't go back last year and find a Cole Beasley game. That's just
exactly
thoughts, you know. I hate to say it. 88. What is it, 80 stings? What are you rapping?
Yeah, that's the most hippest. But I mean, and I think right now, if you have value, you know, I think if you're trying to trade somebody or get some value, I think that's where your money is. I think Cole Beasley is a guy where you can implement him in an offensive scheme, especially if he can get to the AFC somehow. Shoot, man, I think he can still have some productive years left with him. I mean, he's I can first place I think of, he's going to New England Patriots. No,
right. or he may go over there by the Steelers, man. Who knows? You know.
Nowadays, you never know. He may go to Washington.
Yes, indeed. But that's all the time we have for today, guys. I really appreciate you for joining in on the show, guys. Hey, it's one of those things. Let me give a shout out to everybody that's in the chat box. Rab, shout out to you. Q Ball. Dre 360, Cowboys Legend 27. I even think I saw Mark Holmes jump in. D Will. Who else out there? Ethan. Shout out to you. Josh Moore. Thank you for the thank you for the support, fam. And that's about it, man. I really thank everybody for tuning in. B Rob, shout out to you guys. And fifth quarter. Oh man, shout out to you too as well. Wilson, Blake again, Cowboys fan. Robert Esco, AJ Vacaz, I think that's how you say your name, Space Cowboys. You guys go follow Space Cowboys and the Ferry. And I saw you too as well, Jackie. But that's all our time. And I'm going to tell you guys this. And remember, you're listening to nothing but the best. Salute. We're out. Peace.
Hey, man. Phenomenal show, brother. Phenomenal
shit, man. Yeah.
Hey, we're gonna have to chop it up more, man.
Oh yeah, we definitely is, man. I want you to hang tight, man. We're not done yet. We're just gonna let this thing roll out. All right.
Okay.
Yeah. Little outro.
Okay.
Yeah. You guys know how it goes, man. Salute.
Yeah, man. Great show.
Man. Yes, indeed, man. That's what I'm talking about. What do you think D-Law gonna do again, man?
You talking me?
Yeah, you.
Yeah. Oh, no, man. I mean, honestly, a conspiracy theorist in me says I hope he has like 10 sacks. Because if he has 13 sacks or 14 sacks, you're going to lose him 100%. Because you are not going to franchise tag him twice. And Cowboys, I don't think next year. You got to think next year you got Martin coming up. You got D-Law coming up. You got there's one more in my head that's